Ali Ghodsi and the Fire Beneath the Data, part for the Cathedral of Code. In 2025, the world began to realize something profound, that the invisible architectures behind AI were shaping not only economies but civilizations. Every company spoke the language of data now. Cities optimized their power grids with predictive models. Farmers forecasted crop yields using neural networks. Scientists collaborated across borders with cloud-native laboratories. The pulse of modern life had become digital, vast, interlinked, and alive. And at the quiet center of this storm stood Ali Ghodsi, the man who never shouted, never boasted, but whose code, philosophy, and leadership had helped build the new nervous system of humanity. On a late summer morning in San Francisco, sunlight spilled through the high glass walls of the Databricks headquarters. The company had just surpassed $1.5 billion in annual revenue. A global workforce hummed across time zones, from Austin to Amsterdam, London to Bangalore. In the atrium, a team of interns stood by a massive installation made of laser-etched steel and glass, a sculpture titled the Cathedral of Code. It was made up of thousands of lines of Python and Scala code, engraved like scripture. Each line came from a contribution to Apache Spark, the open-source foundation that had started everything. When Ali saw it for the first time, he stood motionless. His reflection shimmered across the glass, interwoven with the words of his younger self, the student who once believed that knowledge should belong to everyone. He whispered, "It's beautiful." Then, turning to the interns, he said, "Remember, this isn't just code. It's a cathedral built by thousands of unseen hands." They nodded, some wide-eyed, others quietly emotional. That afternoon in the main auditorium, Databricks hosted its annual Data Plus AI Summit, now one of the largest technology gatherings in the world. The air vibrated with anticipation as Ali walked onto the stage. He was older now, his beard touched with gray, his voice lower, steadier. But his presence had only grown more magnetic. The crowd of thousands, engineers, researchers, CEOs, and students, fell silent. He began without slides, just a simple story. "When I was a boy," he said, "my family fled Iran. We carried no wealth, no status, only the hope that one day knowledge could give us a future. When I first touched a computer, I realized that code doesn't care who you are. It only cares what you create." He paused. That's the power of technology. It's the most democratic language humanity has ever invented. And yet, too often, it's spoken by too few. Databricks was built to change that. Applause rippled through the hall. He spoke about data not as numbers, but as stories, each dataset a reflection of human effort, of choices, of lives. He spoke of AI not as a tool of domination but of amplification, helping humanity imagine faster, see deeper, reach further. Then he said the line that would echo across the industry for years. The next great frontier isn't artificial intelligence. It's collective intelligence. A world where everyone everywhere can think together. The room rose in a standing ovation. Some people wept. Others, perhaps cynics turned believers, simply stood and clapped, lost in the electricity of the moment. After the summit, a journalist from The Economist followed him out to the terrace overlooking the bay. The two spoke about legacy, competition, and the future of the AI economy. "Do you ever worry," the journalist asked, "that AI will make us irrelevant?" Ali smiled faintly. "Relevance isn't the point," he said. "Meaning is. If technology can help us find meaning, in work, in knowledge, in each other, then it's doing its job." The journalist nodded, sensing the gravity in his tone. "And what about Databricks? What's next?" Ali looked at the water, where the sun was fading into gold. "Next," he repeated, "we build the tools that will let humanity write its next chapter, together." In the years that followed, Databricks became something larger than a corporation. It evolved into a commons of intelligence, a global ecosystem where open-source developers, educators, and companies collaborated freely. Its technology powered the rise of AI startups on every continent. Its cloud infrastructure became the default canvas for machine learning research. And its educational outreach, Databricks Academy, expanded into Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, teaching millions how to code, analyze, and innovate. In Ethiopia, a young girl built an AI model using Databricks to predict droughts. In Vietnam, a team of students used it to analyze pollution data. In Ukraine, Engineers rebuilt supply chains disrupted by war using Databricks pipelines. None of these people worked for Ali Ghodsi, but all of them worked because of him. Despite the company's massive growth, Ghodsi continued to live modestly. He often cycled to work, preferred simple meals, and spent weekends with his children in Golden Gate Park. He never forgot what exile had taught him, that stability is fragile, and meaning must be earned every day. His office remained almost monastic. On the shelf sat only 3 items: a small Iranian chess set from his father, a framed print of the first Apache Spark codebase, and a quote from Carl Sagan, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." He often glanced at that line when making difficult decisions. It reminded him that, in some strange way, technology was humanity's mirror, reflecting our fears, our hopes, and our endless curiosity. In 2027, when Databricks finally went public, it was one of the most celebrated IPOs of the decade. The valuation topped $100 billion. Reporters called it the quiet giant of AI, and Ghodsi, the philosopher CEO. But in his first interview after the IPO, he downplayed the number. "Success," he said, "isn't a destination. It's a direction. As long as we're moving toward openness, toward inclusion, toward truth, we're succeeding." The interviewer smiled. "You sound more like a teacher than a billionaire." Ali laughed softly. Maybe those two shouldn't be so different. Years later, he was invited to give a talk at Oxford University, where he spoke about the moral dimension of AI. He began by describing the early days at Berkeley: 7 researchers, 1 crazy dream, and a few old servers. "We didn't set out to build an empire," he said. "We set out to build a bridge between data and understanding, between humanity and its own potential." The audience, professors, students, policy leaders, hung on every word. "If we succeed," he said, "AI won't make us less human. It will remind us how extraordinary being human truly is." That evening, after the lecture, he walked alone through the old quadrangles of Oxford, the lamps glowing soft against the rain. His thoughts drifted to the refugees crossing seas, to the children learning code in classrooms lit by generator light, to the infinite web of minds now connected through Databricks. He realized that his true work had never been about data or algorithms. It had been about connection, about weaving together the scattered threads of humanity into something coherent, something capable of hope. He thought of that first spark, not the code but the idea that intelligence like fire was meant to be shared. And under the soft drizzle of an English night, Ali Ghodsi smiled. Not as a CEO, not as a billionaire, but as a builder of bridges in a world that desperately needed them. Years from now, historians will write about the AI revolution. They'll talk about ChatGPT, DeepMind, NVIDIA, OpenAI, and they'll speak of Databricks as the quiet cathedral that made it all possible. But those who knew Ali Ghodsi will remember something else. They'll remember the man who believed that code could be a form of compassion. They'll remember how he turned exile into empathy, data into democracy, and machines into mirrors of our better selves. And in that remembrance, they'll see what he saw all along, that the future isn't built by algorithms alone. It's built by people dreaming, connecting, creating together.